Constitution is a grand sight, even under only 3 sails. After the War of 1812, as the need for a navy seemed diminished, Constitution was laid up in ordinary, in active service from 1816 until 1821. She then served in the Mediterranean Squadron until 1828, when she returned to Boston.
The Secretary of the Navy at that time, John Branch, had sent out a letter to all the Navy Yards asking for material status reports on all the ships and how much it would cost to put each of them back into first-class operating condition. But somehow it got garbled in the newspaper in Boston that the Secretary is getting ready to scrap Constitution.
Welcome to CP 101. Let me back my camera up a little bit. This is a update on the USS Constitution. We kind of have it turned on its side here so I can show you a little bit better what we're doing. Today I decided to go ahead and glue the spar deck into the hull. And I bought these 7-inch clamps. I was watching who was I watching? I was watching Joe. And he showed the little clamps that he was using to work on his car. And I was looking at those clamps thinking, boy, I wonder if they make larger ones, because that'd be perfect to use to clamp down the Constitution to the spar deck. And sure as shit, they make these 7-inch ones. They come in a pack of 2, so I bought 2 packs thinking 4 should be enough. And what I did was I started from the back here and I worked my way up to the bow, and I would just glue a little bit, clamp it, let it dry, move up, glue a little bit, clamp it, let it dry, move up, glue a little bit, clamp it, let it dry, and move up, glue a little bit, clamp it, let it dry. So I just kept doing it all the way up the bow. I wasn't going to try to do the whole thing at once. For the glue I used the old testers first to put the entire deck down with, because that old testers dries slow, and it's situations like this where you just can't beat that old tube glue because of it drying slow. It works great. But what I would do is you would use the Tamiya thin. So we have a base of the old testers tube glue, and then I would go along here with the Tamiya thin and put it in between the cracks here, and then clamp it and then let it dry and keep clamping it as I was moving along forward. And I think it came out pretty good. It did a good job between the testers and the Tamiya thin. We had a gap here and here, but that's completely closed up now, and the deck is right up against the sides here, this molding. The only issue that I'm going to have is right up here at the bow, right where the bowsprit goes into. I have a bit of a gap on this side and a little bit here, and that's because I just couldn't squeeze this hard enough. For me to really squeeze it hard, I'd have to use both my hands and really push in hard, and I was afraid of busting these cannons or breaking these I forget what they call them, castles, I think, breaking these off. So I really thought, you know what, I just better leave well enough alone, because I can go back with my Vallejo plastic putty and just lay in a bead up here, and then take a wet finger and then just go over it with my finger, and it's done. So I thought, you know, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try to force this. I'm just going to leave it the way it is and just use my Vallejo plastic putty, and then it'll close up the gaps. And then I went back and lightly sanded the seams to kind of even them out just a little bit more. But once we get our putty work done, then I'm going to take and paint the deck this color here, this chestnut brown, and then once that dries, then we'll put our veneer down. I've taken the light in the galley in the back here. Of course you can't see it. Let me get the ship straightened out first. This piece of foam has been just a godsend. It's really been working out well holding this Constitution for me. But back here in the galley, if you recall, the light was like way too bright. And before I glued the deck down, I took some black paint and just painted the end of the LED black, and that cut the light way down. And now it looks a ton better. I don't know if I have a battery handy to show you. Let me see here. I don't think I have one handy. I'll have to show you next time. Oh, here's one. I don't know if this is any good. Let me see here. Yeah, this one's good. You probably can't see it though, but you can see how it cut it way down, and that looks a lot more what I was looking for. So when you have the glass up, when you have this piece up here and it gets glued, it'll look much more realistic. And before, it looked like a big old searchlight in there, and I just wasn't happy with that. So it's kind of hard to see in the daylight, but you'll see. I'll when I get this all done, I'll lower the lights so you can see how nice it looks, but it just looks a ton better. So we've got that straightened out. So that's the name of that tune. So yeah, that's where we're at on the Constitution. Not a large update, but we did make some progress, and we finally got the spar deck on it. And as I said, we need to do a little bit of sanding at the seams to kind of even them out just a little bit more. Do some filler work around the bow, and then we'll paint the spar deck that chestnut brown, so we have a nice even tone on the before we lay our veneer down. And then we'll lay our veneer down, and then we can actually start putting things on the deck, like the ship's wheel, capstan, some of the railings, some belaying pins, so just a little bit of everything that we'll be adding to the deck. And if you get these clamps, they work great. The only issue I have with these things is that the plastic, the teeth, the grabbing points, they should have rubberized them, put a rubber coating on these so they actually grip. Because when you have hard plastic against hard plastic, yeah, it's really usually not a good thing, and you really don't get a good hold on them without putting a lot of pressure, and sometimes you don't want a lot of pressure. I use this right here. I have a couple of these buffing wheels, which is a felt, and I put on here like this. I had one on each side, and then it worked like a ton better. So before I use these again, I'm going to coat these in some kind of rubberized coating, and not just the bare plastic. So, but they work good other than that. Alright guys, that's it for the update on the USS Constitution, and I think that's it. Yeah. Alright guys, stay safe, and especially stay sane out there, because it is getting wacky out there. Alright, take care.